All right, so as you can see here, I pretty much have every unit that's been coming out more recently, and I've been playing JJK pretty regularly once again. And in this video, we're going to be going over an updated tier list. This is the previous tier list from 2 months ago. I'm going to guess almost 3 months, right? Well, yeah, no, almost 3 months because this was May 4th. It's been probably 11 weeks since this tier list, and now we're adding every single fucking unit, okay? So all the SP buffs, all the new units are all going to be considered in this, and the main reason is because you guys are only 2 units behind. Shoko's next week, and then after that, all you're missing is Nanami. Oh, actually 3. Nanami, Ino, and then Choso plus Dagon. So 3 new featured units. And I'm just like, fuck it, why not make tier lists now count for both JP and Global, since Global really is not that far behind. So we have all these units that have been added since the last tier list. But besides that, all the SP buffs, plus the most recent ones being Blue Yuji, Blue Kamo, and Yellow Junpei. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do this as quick as possible. Now keep in mind, I just want to make sure this is known. It's Tower 1 to 80, but 60 to 80, 61 to 80 is prioritized, okay? The rest, honestly, barely matters. The rest barely matters. We're mainly talking about 61 to 80 because the rest is so easy now. So easy. Now, keep in mind, this does become more so mono colors, especially from 70 onwards or 71. You have to run mono units or else you cannot ult. And also, if you don't run mono units, then you're going to take way more damage on the non-mono unit. So keep that in mind when the rankings are all done. There is no more value because not even Domain Gojo can be ran off of mono after floor 70, right? Because he can't ult after floor 70 on a blue, green, or yellow floor. So keep that in mind. So let's get into this right now. What we're gonna do is get rid of the kind of the tiers that don't matter, and then do all the movements, and then bring in the new units. All right. So first of all, Pinnacle, get out of here. Niche, good rolls, get out of here. That's never gonna return. Okay. And now let's get to moving. Those are the 2 different ones that we had to get rid of. But now let's just get to business. Tier 3 is not even in consideration. It's just LOL, okay? Because these units are ass, whatever is in this tier. So keep that in mind. And let's get to it. So this is going to be very weird for a lot of you guys, but we're really going to have to get used to this, all right? So let's really start moving because there's a lot that we have to do. And I mean, yeah, we're going to get there as we go. And here it goes. So we're going to go from bottom up, okay? So in the LOL tier, we've got now, okay, we got Green Panda. We've got our GOAT, Miguel. We've got Green Miwa. No, we're only going to do the update, and then we're going to add everyone else afterwards. I think that's how we'll do it. And then we got Red Maki. Okay, that's how it's going to be. Yellow Mekamaru. And let me just put... what should I put here? On hold. So these are units that basically are not in the tier they're supposed to be at the moment. So let's just keep these boys here because those 3 especially are way better now. Way better. It's not even funny, man. So tier 2. Okay, tier 2. Well, it's going to start with, I guess we could put, yeah, we'll do this. So we got Green Maki now in tier 2. She does end up going down. We've got Blue Megumi because he works decent as a sub DPS, but not anything too crazy. Then we've got Green Mahito. Mahito makes a big jump down. The main reason is because 61 to 80 has the percentages nerfed. So now his ult only gets rid of 6% of HP instead of 15%, which as we understand it is a huge nerf. Then we got Blue Nanami, then Blue Toto. Okay, and that basically makes up most of the DPS that we have right now for tier 2. Kamo is also on hold because of the fact that he's just way better. Okay, that buff that they gave him is fucking ridiculous. Now Ichichi is just out of the discussion completely. And then we have to put Green Momo there. Also on hold because as we know, Jogo did get his SP buff. Then we have Blue Panda because now he has some floors. I think it was 74 that Blue Panda actually works well in. And then we got Blue Maki. SR Maki, not really too crazy at all if we're being real. Shoko could go here. It's just that you don't really want to run Shoko too much, especially since Sukuna's there and he can heal himself. You got to find other ways to manage. That's just the most obvious thing in my opinion. Then after we've got for tier 2, we've got Red Toto. Okay. And then we got Red Hanami. And then we've got Red Panda, because a lot of these units are now able to tank, but not really offering either enough tanking or not doing it well enough. And then we got Maki in not there. Sorry, I'm looking at that wrong. Red Miwa. So that basically makes up tier 2 for now. The DPSs are pretty solid here. Like, you could use these guys in tier 2, but they're not extremely usable, right? That's the thing. Also, I'm going to take these out. There's no reason for them to be here. We understand it as we know it. So there we go. That's the tierings. There's no reason to keep them there, in my opinion. So now tier 1. This is going to be something I think that's going to shock a lot of people, if I'm being completely real. But we have to get to it. So yellow Nanami, then blue Gojo makes the jump down to tier 1. He's only there for 7 turns. Completely pathetic. Green Obara is decent. I do think she's alright. Blue Gojo's more of a sub DPS where she's doing a good amount of chunk of the damage, but not anything too crazy overall. Green Megumi also makes it to tier 1. Then we got yellow Nobara in tier 1 also, because her damage is quite good. Now, Hollow Purple is in tier 1. He is way worse. However, it can still be good. Do one quick nuke and then leave. I've seen it done. Then, you also have to keep in mind now, I'm separating these DPS, support, utility, right? So, these are the DPS. Then it goes to support, right? And then it goes to utility. I kind of need you guys to make the connection. It's not really for me to make, right? But we're going to talk about that more in tier 0, as I think it's going to be more appropriate there. And then obviously Yuji is on hold. Nanami does stay in tier 1. He's actually quite good now. To be in tier 1 still, considering the higher criteria, it's very, very good. Nobara's on hold. And then Yuji is in tier 1. Now, to add more units to that tier 1, let's get to it. So in tier 1, there's actually a lot more, like Mai. Okay, so Mai starts it off. Red Inumaki is going to be later. I forget that some of the units are not, I'm not adding yet. Green Gaku Ganji. All right, and then yellow Inumaki does go to tier 1. Right, he's in tier 1 now because it's the first time. Now we're getting to the section where the units are mattering, right? So he's going to be amazing because those reses are just really good, right? Being able to stop an attack that kills you 3 times is huge, but then being able to then heal a bit, right, is even better. And then having some chip damage is not bad on yellow. He's going to be a unit that you could definitely run in the lower floors. I did it for 65 and it worked pretty well, honestly. But now with the SP buffs, I'd probably end up running Junpei, because Junpei, who is in tier 0.5, goes down to tier 1. But Junpei staying in tier 1 is amazing, because the criteria for tier 0.5 is way higher. But Junpei, with his SP buffs, now is going to give damage reduction and actually give stat buffs and do more DPS. So I think Junpei is going to end up being better than Inumaki in that same role, in my personal opinion. Then Blue Yuji is going to also be in tier 1, but he now is staying in tier 1, where before, like, technically with the same ratings, he would have been in tier 2. But that's because now he's able to do the survival mechanic more times, drag and taunt AoE many more times, I think every 3 turns now, and he does more damage. So that's the thing. He's a better sub DPS and also able to save people more times in battle. So I think that's all you really need, because before it was a one-time thing, the taunt, but now it's every 3 turns that you could do it. So I think that honestly just makes him miles and miles better than he was. So I think that's something we do have to keep in mind. And then yellow Kaido does go down. Unfortunately, he's not really that good. He's mainly a sweep unit. That's the only reason he's in tier 1, only because of sweep, right? He's the only unit really on this tier list that is getting benefit of the doubt because of sweep. I don't really see myself doing that with pretty much, I'd say, anyone else, which is kind of crazy to think about. And that makes up tier 1. Then we got tier 0.5, and this is when things get spicy, bro, okay? So let's really start getting into this, okay? Here we go. And real quick, Mekamaru also going in tier 1. As a utility unit, this guy is fucking phenomenal and the only reason I beat 65. So yeah, he is definitely someone that if you have him with dupes, be happy, okay? Because he's actually going to do good damage and counter pretty much when you need him to. So everyone doesn't take damage because he does have the taunt with the SP boost. Then tier 0.5. So I think everyone here goes down. Let me just verify. I think everyone there goes down. Besides Inumaki, actually. So, yep, everyone's going down. So everyone goes into tier 0.5. And Inumaki does stay. He's under utility. And this is what I want to say, is that the utility units, while maybe not being like in a ranking on that same level, are definitely going to be put in tier 0. Because it's like the wiki tier list, like how utility has some units in SS and the same as like SS for DPS, right? It's just that they are on the top of the utility section, which is why they're in tier 0. Just want to make sure that's known. So Toji is still very good, but he's not going to be on that same level. And then, you know, same with Zonji, same, and we're going to make sure to put these guys in the correct order. But yeah, the supports, we're going to talk about them, but I definitely think we're going to talk about them when we get to tier 0 and start adding in the new units. But if we look at it, overall, these DPS are all very, very good, okay? They really are, okay? Like for yellow, Zonji and Tinjo, they're the best you could get. Then for red, I mean, Yuji, Yuta, and Toji are amazing. But then you also throw in someone like Red Nobar into the mix. Red has 4 very solid DPSs, all pretty much on the same level, if I'm being real. No matter what you take into, if they're the same dupe level, you're all going to be like, you can't go wrong. You just cannot go wrong with any of them if we're being real. And then we got Green Yuji, also very good for pretty much all the floors unless like there's a taijutsu resist. So Yuji is going to be a phenomenal pick for you guys now and in the future. Jogo also does make the cut as a DPS. Jogo is going to be quite good, and he can clear floor 70, so it's like he is definitely on that fucking goated status level. Now, furthermore, Kamo actually makes it to tier 0.5 as a support now because of the fact that he could apply the damage increases for the stats, right? So if you see here, he now also only needs to apply skill 2 once, and then this costs 15 CE, and then it's 30% times 4 when you're in the flowing red skill status, so it's 15 CE for 4 turns, and then if you have your skill 2 activated for the 6 turns, that's 5 CE per turn. So basically you're never losing out on CE because every turn you get 10 plus 5, so every turn you get 15, and every turn you use 15 on the skill 3, so you're going to be just neutral in terms of losing or gaining, and then you're going to increase all enemies taijutsu and jujutsu damage received by 30% within the state or 20% outside of the state, and that's the biggest problem. Outside of the state, you might lose 20% because 2 turns of 10% might be lost because of the fact that you need to be in this buff, but there's like a timer, right? So you have to time it correctly, and it might not always be timed, but if you end up getting the perfect 4 turns, Kamo is the best out of the 3 blue debuffers, and that's like not even a question, okay? The main reason is because first of all, he's AoE. Second of all, he's giving 120%, and while the others are giving more, first of all, he's AoE, and second of all, he's able to be the most consistent and the one who won't run out of CE. Now, sure, Ghetto won't run out, but he needs to have his full effect to get the full 150. So Kamo being AoE and also doing this as like the easiest in the game because he's literally never losing CE. Kamo does gain like the top spot out of the 3 for me, and his DPS is also good because you could run a DPS memory since he doesn't have any CE problems, which is just beautiful, right? No CE problems, so he's very flexible on his memory, and you can even put a healing memory if you so wish, which is what's so good about him not needing a memory to do everything that he needs to do, in my opinion, making him fucking fantastic, okay? Absolutely phenomenal unit, if I'm being completely real. So now let's get into tier 0, I guess. I don't think I'm missing anyone here. Let me just double check. But yeah, no, we're not. So tier 0, who we're also adding is going to be these 2. So in terms of utility, these guys are fucking phenomenal. And then we have to grab, where is he? Where is my goat? Did I leave him somewhere? I think I forgot him somewhere. Where is my goat? SR Kaido, where are you? Damn, guys, I need to pause. I actually cannot see him. All right, I found them. So These 4 units are the top in utility. I just want to make sure that's known for utility. Kaido could literally make you take 0 damage with his damage reduction skill and give attack immunity. Miwa could literally for 30 turns make it so you take 0 damage. Saki could literally carry in terms of DPS and also taunting at the same time, making it therefore, especially if you have Teen Shoko, one of the best. And Inumaki's used in every color just to get extra ult gauge. So these 4 offer something unique as a utility unit that puts them in this range. And then of course, Sukuna and Domain Gojo go into tier 0. These units are not gapping the game anymore. Number 1, Domain Gojo can only be used in red in the higher floors, 70 to 80. Sukuna is obviously only being used in blue, and they're not really gapping. They're not really used in these floors to like do anything crazy off color. Domain Gojo is good off color, but not as stellar because, you know, you kind of are depending now for Domain Gojo to really have that really good status for him to do his damage. So now let's start adding the new units. So Dagon, fuck you, man. You absolutely suck. I don't know what they were thinking, but he's trying to be a DPS, but trying to tank, but he doesn't have taunt. He just is not that good. Honestly, if you want to put him in tier 2, I sure. But it's like he is going in the DPS slot for what? And then what? There's no sub DPS slot for him because he's just taking away damage. So I really think they fucked up with him. I mean, maybe we'll find something out that'll make him good. I just think that because he wants to be in the main DPS slot, he's never going to be good because Dagon cannot go in the main DPS slot, and for you cannot clear with Dagon in the main DPS slot. So I really hope they make him more of a utility unit in the future, but for right now, he's bad. Green Miwa goes into LOL. There's no real use for her. I mean, they literally stop you from trying to do counters. So they basically said Miwa is just not relevant at all. And that's just the unfortunate truth. Now for tier 2, we've got Ino because he's just not really doing that good damage. He won't work as a main DPS, right? I think you might have better chance even with fucking Kamo. And obviously Jogo, but when you compare them, he just doesn't have much over them. And then also Mei. Unfortunately, there's a lot of floors that are AoE and Mei single target. And unlike Nobara does more single target damage than Mei. So Mei just does not get the edge over them. Now, can she work? Yes, that's why she's in tier 2. Tier 2 is still usable. That's why they're even on the list. But she just is not as good as any of the red DPSs. If you want to put her in tier 1, that's fine, but all the tier 0.5 red DPSs, the 4 that we have here, are just miles better. And I mean miles better, which is why she's in tier 2. And then afterwards, we got Muta, who does comfortably sit in tier 0.5. He is very good, actually, very good with Shoko. I really liked using Shoko and Mekamaru together, Teen Shoko, obviously. I think they did a pretty good job with that. Then Inumaki does go into tier 1. Unfortunately, he really is not that good. As a new unit, tier 1 kind of sucks, considering Red Nanami is a day 1 unit on that same level. But I definitely think that he's okay. But this Inumaki takes the cake for 2 reasons. We're not measuring these units with dupes for the most part, and number 2, also I'd rather the damage reduction over the chance to stun, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I'm sitting on that. And Blue Maki goes into tier 1. She's actually decent, and I mean you do need her for some floors, but I mean there are alternatives like Todo for taijutsu floors. But definitely, she is the best one for taijutsu, no doubt. She's not horrible, she's just not fantastic. They should have had, I think, better multipliers for her if we were going to go down that route. Because, like, her ult is, like, 1200%. 1200% ult is kind of pathetic in this day and age. Like, you kind of want at least 1500 to really be able to measure up, or be like Nobara, where it's her skill 3 doing most of the damage, and I do mean most. So now we get into the 4 units going into tier 0. So we got Gojo, we got Shoko, we got Nanami, and then we got Yellow Shoko. So I do want to say, out of the 3 supports in tier 0, so the only 3 supports in tier 0 are Teen Shoko, Teen Nanami, and Yellow Shoko. I do want to say, also Domain Gojo, actually, my bad. Yellow Shoko is by far the worst in this criteria. However, she is better than the ones in tier 0.5. Yellow Shoko is in an awkward spot out of all of them, in the most awkward spot, because she really just is not as good. She isn't. Like, she just isn't. In terms of consistency with her skills, she's not as good. And in terms of healing, she's not as good. So in terms of the buffs, I mean, Shoko and Yellow Shoko, Teen and Yellow, they have basically the same amount of buffs. Not really much to judge there. But Teen Shoko could keep it up longer for multiple reasons. Number 1, in the downtime, she could use this to get quicker CE. And also her ult keeps it going. So these 2 things alone make it that Teen Shoko has a lot more consistency. The biggest thing is that her heals are way worse. So yes, you have this that you could use at any time, but people don't understand how strong the skill 3 is. This is literally half your health bar back, right? That's the thing. It's over half your health bar back with the skill 3, where Yellow Shoko, it's maybe a third if you're lucky. And your buffs have to be up for it to be a third. Because if her stat buffs aren't up, then GG. But the problem is, her heals are really only in short like bursts with the passive. If not, it's unlike Teen Shoko, where she has her ult for the heals, and then if she needs it, she has the skill 3, right? That's the thing. Also, the bigger thing is that if we're going for the best teams, well, it's a lot easier to keep yourself alive on green than on yellow, and that's the biggest problem, is that for yellow, she needs to also be duped out in most cases, because they unfortunately don't have like the best stats in the game. So her skill 2 heal kind of breaks it up, right? So the difference is that if Shoko uses her skill 2, it's usually going to be on downtime, because her ult is looping into the actual damage increase, to where she's still healing even when she's giving damage increase buffs, where Shoko needs to stop giving her damage increase buffs when you're late in the second half of the match to then heal. So then some people might die because of this, and that's just kind of the case, in my opinion, to where I think we all agree, like, Teen Shoko's buffs are over double what Yellow Shoko could do in some instances. And then she also has her ult, which is AoE, which is going to be something you could loop into your normal rotations, because it's still giving the Taijutsu and Jujutsu buff. So Teen Shoko, I just want to make sure, is clearly better. If I'm ranking the supports, fuck. I mean, I guess Domain Gojo would have to go first. And then it would be Teen Shoko, then Red Nanami, then Yellow Shoko. And Yellow Shoko's on the cusp of being tier 0.5. Now, the thing is, out of these 4, Red Nanami's probably the most needed, because he works on almost all the floors he needs to, because there's barely any red floors that are that are buff nerf. Almost all of them are debuff nerf. So his buffs are almost always going to be relevant. But Teen Shoko's buffs are fucking phenomenal, okay? Teen Shoko, in terms of supporting, is one of the best / the best, and I could not be happier with how they did her. In terms of her heals too, like, I mean, I could pull this up. I just want to make sure this is clear. Like, I don't want to make sure, like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm slandering her name, but genuinely though, if we're going into this, I mean, let me pull these up real quick. So the heals can scale very high. So for Shoko, if she buffs one of the, like, Shoko has pretty much the lowest HP you could have in the game, almost. And Shoko is still getting a 12.6k buff, a 12.6k heal on this, because it's 10k plus 1.3 plus 1.3 because of the extra 2 turns. But then on Saki, it's 14k plus 4k because it's 2k for 2 turns. So it's 18k on a unit with dupes, okay? Shoko, it's outright only 7.6. Now, you can maybe get that, in my opinion, to about 9,000. Okay, you can maybe get that to 9,000. I'd say that's maybe as high as it would go. However, you got to keep in mind, it's not going to scale higher to go up to maybe 18,000. So in terms of the skill heal, it's way better for Teen Shoko. And you're not really breaking your rotations because of how Teen Shoko works. Like, you only need to use that skill heal usually in very rare cases. Also because green is just better in that instance, because these units, you could dupe them out, right? That's the thing. Where if we check yellow, I mean, like, for Shoko, she's the main problem with herself. And that's another thing. Yellow Shoko's main thing is that she could die, right? But Teen Shoko gives herself 2 extra heals. So she has an extra 40% HP, damage reduction, and stealth status for most of the fight. And that's what lets Teen Shoko take the cake, because she doesn't have the risk of dying. She has much better CE management and much better heals for the team, while also healing and giving the damage to the team. So that's the main thing. Teen Shoko is phenomenal. So is Yellow Shoko though. Like, her bursts of heals are very good, because most of the yellow supports are good. The ult gauge increase is nice, but I think other people rate it more than me. I just don't think it's that needed in most instances, especially if you're running Zone G already gives ult gauge increase, so that's something to keep in mind. And besides that, her skill 2, I hate it so much. I feel like it just doesn't heal that much, because it's off of Jujutsu instead of HP %, which is unfortunate. And then Nanami, I mean, they made one of the most beautiful kits in the game with Nanami. He is an absolutely beautiful unit. He could give, what, like 240% in total, and then it goes to 270, I think. No, not 270, is it? No, I think it's 260 with this, I think. Because he gives, well, 50% here, then 90%. Well, 3 of 50, so 150, and then 90. So 240, and then it goes to 260 with this, but you won't always need this. But basically, he's doing decent damage, right? He could do decent damage, first of all. Second of all, you're never going to really run out of CE with him, because on the 6th turn, he gets 30 CE. Then, every time he crits, he gets 5 CE. So early on, for the first 3 or 4 turns, you use the skill 1, have a high chance to crit, give yourself extra crit rate, and then you're going to be critting every single time. And then afterwards, you're going to keep the crit rate buff from this up, and then keep on critting. So every turn, you're going to get 5 CE back. And then on a turn like your ult, you're going to not use any CE and then get 5 back. And with this extra 30 cursed energy, you're almost never going to need to actually use a CE memory, because he's going to be so pumped up on his own CE that you're able to stay consistent the whole time while doing decent damage. This guy's amazing, and he gives break damage, which is fucking beautiful. Even if it's like 10% like in tower because of the nerf, it's still amazing. So Nanami on the buff floors, which is pretty much all the floors, plus tower, he's amazing, right? And then we go to Honored One Gojo. Honored One Gojo is very good. I think he's on the Sukuna level. I think everyone agrees with that. Because of the skill 2, with the amount of self buffs he has with this skill 2, it's just really, really good, because you're able to do upwards of 750% with a high chance to crit. And then insane buffs up to how much is it? 215? I think it's 215, right? 210, sorry, 210% total Jujutsu buff on this skill being 750. That's a mini ult. And then you got an insane stat buff. And with Shoko, this guy could not be better. And that's why he's on the Sukuna level. These two are phenomenal. Now, the thing is with green, you really didn't need it, because there was already so many good green DPSs, right? We got Muta, we got Yuji, we got Megumi, we got Nobara, we got Hollow Purple. And then for the supports and all that, like, I think Tinjo Honored One didn't really need to be green, and you would have been fine, because Teen Shoko exists. However, it's fine that they did that. I'm really excited for Choso because of how, like, fucking overpowered green's gonna be. But it's just a bit unfortunate when you think that, like, they didn't need it. Green did not need it, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And that basically sums up the tier list. It doesn't get more clear than this, in my opinion. A lot of the units, like for example, Megumi and Nobara in tier 1, the green versions are there because obviously tier 0.5 is better. Green DPS is like Muta and Yuji for green. So it's like that's kind of how a lot of these things are considered. But overall, this is pretty much an overall landscape of the game. Units up to tier 1 are the ones you're mainly using. If you're using anyone in tier 2 or below, it's as replacements, even though they have units that, well, better versions of them in higher tiers. What I want to say is Momo is one of the most stellar units that they've had, because there's not many units with damage buffs, and that's why Nanami, Red Nanami, is so good. Especially for the buff floors, having someone who could give the damage increases is great, because usually they're higher values, which is why Nanami giving 240% damage increase in total is so fucking incredible. They really cooked with the supports, and overall HI, the HI update is going to be amazing. I think a lot of people are going to go right if they have Teen Shoko, but Teen Shoko, Teen Nanami, and then are the two best, and then afterwards it would be Honored One, who really is not needed. Like, you're going to be fine on a lot of the floors, even if you have just Yuji and then later on Muta. But yeah, no, that's basically going to be it for this tier list. Let me know what you think. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? This is basically including up to the most recent JP, but also Global's basically going to be there, right? I think next month you're going to get the SP buffs. Maybe earlier, we'll have to see. That basically sums it up. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.